everybody, this is Jeff with Custom Bus Conversions. Today it's really cold out. We have snow on the ground, so I'm going to talk to you about some insulation today. Now, as you can tell on this bus here, we have removed all the metal from these walls and the insulation. Per customer request, they wanted the old insulation taken out and new insulation put in. Now, what we're going to do is, before we start putting up our walls, we're going to take and paint our windows black, the ones we're not using. As you can tell, the ones that are taped is the windows that we are going to cover. So what we're going to do is we'll take this window and we will cut a foam insulation to go in this window. Now, it's just about 1/2 of an inch thick. It's just regular foam, square foam board insulation. And after we put a piece in here, then what we'll do is we're going to come back and cut another piece that'll come completely inside this window here. Now, the reason we're doing two pieces is because this window insets here about 1/2 of an inch. So you want this piece and this piece to touch each other, okay? Then we're going to come down here and we're going to insulate this part of our wall in here. Now, this here we're going to do with a foam insulation, which is about a 2-inch thick piece of insulation that'll go down in behind our walls, and it'll go along here to fill in these pieces here. That's also going to help your R factor. So first things we'll need our utility knife. We'll use a tape measure. We'll use a pair of gloves and talcum powder, something else I use. And we're using our R13 pink insulation. So I like using talcum powder when I put up insulation, especially when you have on short sleeves. You rub this on your skin, around your neck, or whatever, and it really helps keeping the insulation from getting down in the pores of your skin. So I really like using this when insulation, because I do not like insulating, but this is one thing that does help. Also, the gloves. This also helps keep the insulation from getting in your hands, around in between your fingers, stuff like that. So what we're going to do, we're going to take our insulation. First, we're going to put on our gloves. We're going to take our insulation, and we're going to roll it out on our floor. Since we've got our floor down, we're just going to roll it out here. And then we're going to measure the distance from here, inside to inside, all right, which we have is 57 inches. Now, as you can tell, I put these studs 14 inches apart. The reason I do that is because my insulation is a little over 14 inches. So that way I know it goes in, it'll stay, and it won't slide down the wall. So what we're going to do, we're going to measure our length on our insulation. We're just going to take our utility knife and we're going to cut it. Just make a mark. A lot of times, it's a whole lot easier to cut your insulation if you have a piece of board to lay here to keep a straight line. So you can take and just push down on it and just cut through your insulation, like so. Now just hold it down and just pull your knife through it, and it will cut the insulation all the way through, as you can see. Now what we're going to do is take our insulation and we're just going to stuff it right into our section of our window, of our wall, I mean, that we have fixed. Now, you can also, after you put your insulation in, you can come back, preferred, with your staple gun, and you pull these tabs back here, like so. And you can put staples in your insulation to hold it to your studs. You can use the tape, or you can use a staple from a regular staple gun. Either one will do. That's going to keep the insulation from sliding down the wall with the bus movement. It's not going to move very much, but I would at least do it at the top, 3 or 4 places on each side. That way you know that it'll stay. Your fiberglass insulation will go over the top of the foam on the windows and the foam here. That way you have no air gap. You don't want to have a gap behind your insulation, as you can see right here after we put this in, that has air in there. So what we'll do is we'll put that foam in behind here, and this insulation will touch that foam. Now, if you do the insulation on the windows and the walls, you're going to have an R factor of about a 7. Also, by adding this on top of it, you're going to raise your R factor up to about 13 to a 15 R factor. Now, you don't want to have a thick insulation for like a 2x6 wall. You want something that'll go about 3 inches. That's why I use this here. This is a R13. It's about a 3-inch thick insulation. And as you can see, if I measure, once we put our foam in on our window here and here, that's going to give us about 2 3/4 of an inch. Now, you don't want your insulation to be so thick that when you put your walls up, that you've got to push this in. Because once you push this insulation in against your windows and your wall, then you start losing an R factor. I prefer using the 3-inch fiberglass insulation. It's not too thick, but it actually fits in the wall very well. So that is a good way to look at insulating your bus before you put up your walls. So until next time, this is Jeff with Custom Bus Conversions. Have a good day.